Hi everybody, Terrell here. Tonight we're going to be working on a Honda Civic. My brother just bought this car. It's an 04 Civic EX. It's like a coupe, front wheel drive with a little 4-cylinder in it. Don't know how good this video will come out, but I'm going to try it. He just bought this car from auction and there was no spark. I believe it's the crank or the cam sensor. Both of those are behind the timing cover, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this apart. I'm pulling the valve cover off, and then the upper timing cover and the lower timing cover. I'm going to show you what I have to pull off. This is my first time doing this job ever. So I'm doing this for the first, and we'll see how quickly I can get this done. But I'd like to see how hard it is and see what's causing this no spark. And we verified for sure there's no spark. I'm gonna take this valve cover off. I took the harness off already. Just had a couple coil packs, a couple 10s across that are just nuts. And then took off the alternator stuff, and it's currently sitting right there. Once this valve cover's off, timing cover's right there, the upper. All right, valve cover's off. Just a couple 10s across the board. And then now we'll go ahead and work on this timing cover. So I have 110 there, right there. I have 110 right there. And then this upper timing cover might come off. I have a motor mount, and that's about it over here. Like I said, I've never done this before, so I'm not sure if I'm doing everything correctly. But I just took the motor mount off and got the lower cover bolt off. A little difficult. I had to take this nut off, and then that one I used a wrench from there to here, ratcheting 17, and just kind of broke it loose like that, and then just spun it, and then got that one off. Motor's on a jack currently, and got that last bolt off down there. So this cover, I think, yep, should kind of come out. All right, got this upper cover off. Had to pull, there's like a little grommet here for the wire. Had to break it off, not break it, but move it. And then the tab for the cam sensor, you stick your finger in, you push down, and then you kind of pull. Difficult to see, honestly, but the cam sensor's right there, the bolt is right there, the little kind of shiny tip. My light's on now in here, and then you can see the cool tip a little better. Right there. All right, night number 2 on the Civic. Couldn't do any more last night. It was dark and didn't have some certain tools. But I'm back here. I'm gonna try to get this lower timing cover off and get to this crank sensor. Right now I'm looking here, very, very tight down there. I'm gonna remove this tensioner, loosen that bolt up, loosen this up, lower the power steering pump, take the belt off, move the power steering pump out of the way if I can, and then take that mount off the engine, and then lower the crank gear, and then the pulley, and then the belts. I tried to pull this power steering pump out. There is, you look up here, there's like a tensioner that goes through here. It's this one like this. It sits this way, has a nut on that side, and then there's a nut on the other side. On the bottom of the power steering pump right here, they're both 12s. And this is just the whole tensioner, just a little thing right there that goes up and spins like this, literally a weird nut. Anyways, the alternator is right there. I just loosened up the 14 that's right here, and then loosened the tensioner up a couple minutes ago. I moved the alternator in to get this belt off, and then I'm gonna get the crank pulley off. All right, the tensioner right there. It's a 12mm, and then a little screw you just unscrew after you get the alternator bolt loose. Just push the alternator in. I got the whole belt off. This is just a 19mm for the crank. I'm gonna see if I can get this thing off real quick. Oh, ow. Oh, that's off. Now it's got a timing gear cover with a couple 10s. And the crank sensor is right here. So I'm gonna get those 10s off, swap the sensor out, put this all back together, see if I get this thing running tonight. Definitely not a hard job. Timing cover's off. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 bolt holes. And then the entire thing is out. Crank sensor is right there. I'm gonna go ahead and unplug it. Take the bolt out, pull it out, put a new crank sensor in this, a new cam sensor, and then put this all back together. Not that I'm a vlog or anything, but just went to AutoZone, got me some nice Duralast cam and crank sensors for this Honda. Go back or go ahead and put the crank in. Sensor you mount in, and then you put the cover on, and then I'll put the pulley on, and then I'll put the lower belt on, and then work on the upper belt, and the bottom end should be done, and then the fender liner, and then the wheel. I may not record much of that, but I'm just saying how I'm gonna do it. And then I'll go to the top and motor mount and top valve cover or top timing cover after I put the cam sensor in and the valve cover, and she's basically done. So not a hard job at all. Alright, crank sensor's back in right there. I'm gonna go ahead and bolt it down and then put the cover on and this crank gear. And just like that, crank gear back on, the belt back on down here. Put tensioners nice and tight. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten the top alternator, then put the power steering pump on and the belt on for that. Alright, I just got the cam sensor back in. You can see it right there. It's kind of hard because I had to like work backwards with my hand, kind of like, if I can show you, kind of like that, and spin the bolt in like this. But she's in. I'm gonna go ahead and put the cover on, plug it in, and then it should just be valve cover. Sorry, my camera just got a blurry, got oil on it. Alright, I got the motor mount back on. I gotta tighten these down. That bolt there is back in for timing cover, and same with that one. Cam sensor's plugged in. So once I get these tight, I'll drop this power steering pump back on its bracket, and then I think it's just valve cover and coil packs, and we're just about back to being done. All right, valve cover is back on. Haven't started yet. I'm just about to. None of the nuts are tight there yet, just as in case there isn't any spark yet. Then I can at least test it and make sure that's still a problem. Together, so I'm about to start it, and let's see if she starts up. That's crazy. Well, I may have needed a crank and a cam sensor, but it wasn't the reason it wasn't starting. I found a ground that just wasn't attached. The ground signals were jumping all over, and I figured out why. The ground off this harness right here, this was just sitting down here. So occasionally I get a little bit of spark, because it must have been touching, but now it's on there, it actually runs. I need to get a trans mount still, but we just made sure all the other grounds are ohming out. That one there, and these two, and now that one's on, so now the car runs. Well, you heard her running. She's got one bad injector. I just did a compression test, so compression on cylinder 4 and 3 are good. Cylinder 4, however, has the misfire. I checked by just unplugging a coil pack, and the misfire didn't change. Swap plugs, didn't change. Made sure I could see the actual coil or the sparking, and it did. So I just swapped injectors and it followed. So we have one bad injector. I'm probably gonna do a motor mount on this thing for the trans. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this little Honda video. Yeah, crazy. One ground can obviously stop anything from starting.